Hey artists, welcome to another video. Today we're going to be learning how to paint a realistic elephant portrait. Now, I'm using oils for this, but you can very easily achieve these same techniques by using acrylics. Now, like usual, these tutorials here, the full-length version, including my paint mixing, my voice walking you through the entire real-time tutorial, all sorts of goodness. This can always be found inside the Wildlife Painting Academy, which basically is going to be your secret weapon for learning how to paint realistic wildlife easily. And you can check it out in the description of this video. All right, let's jump in. So I'm starting off here by blocking in the darkest parts of my painting. And the reason why I do this is because I want to establish those darkest points first, so we're not going to run into contrast issues. And it also acts as a nice sort of map for me to create the rest of my painting on. Next up, I'm going to be blocking in sort of the next darkest part of the painting. So I'm going in here with a nice dark gray, starting to build up some of those nice tones without going too light yet, but you can definitely tell that we're starting to move into our lighter paint. At this point, I'm using the largest brush that I can, and here I'm just using some basic filbert brushes. One of the biggest questions I always get for my videos is, what brushes do you use? And to be honest, I use such a huge range of brushes. These don't have to be expensive at all. You can get them at your dollar store if you really want to. And I strongly believe that the secret to painting realistic wildlife is not in the specific brush that you use. It's in your technique and your foundation. So use what you have and don't worry about having to drop a ton of money on expensive brushes. So now I'm going in here and I'm using a much smaller brush because it's a teeny tiny little area, but I am blocking in the darkest portion of the eye and a little bit of the wrinkles here, just so it doesn't get lost in all of my bigger brush strokes. So you'll notice that I tend to work going darkest to lightest when I'm building these paintings. And I like doing that because it makes it easier to have really solid contrast. And yeah, especially if you're painting on a white background like I am here, by starting with that really dark black tone, it's going to prevent you from having contrast issues, and it's just going to result in stronger values, and it's just going to make your painting process easier. So start to block in the rest of the painting here. I'm kind of wrapping up some of my lightest tones. And one of the things is my underpaintings are always darker than the final image is going to be. And I do that because it makes it a lot easier to build up detail with lighter paint after. So now I'm starting to go in with darker paint and a smaller brush, and I'm still working into that wet underlayer. And I'm going to start to carve out some of those beautiful signature wrinkles that you can find on all of these adorable little elephant faces. You do want to pay close attention to your reference photos when you're doing this, because the shape and sort of arc of those wrinkles is going to have a huge part in actually showing off the 3D structure of that face. So it's really important to make sure that we're getting this correct. I'm going to use some really loose, rough brush strokes here to build up a little bit of texture in that skin. So now moving my way around the painting and establishing where all of those major wrinkles are going to go, building up some texture and a little bit of detail at this point. Here I'm taking a dry brush and softening out some of those brush strokes that I made just to make it look a little more blended and soft. Now I'm going in with some lighter paint and I'm going to start to build up more of a 3D shape to those beautiful signature wrinkles. I always find this step to be really fun because it kind of puts a really beautiful touch on everything. And I find in this point when you're going in with your highlights, it makes everything come together really quickly. So it's a very satisfying stage for me. I'm also going to make sure that I hit some highlights on the rest of the body as well. I like to go in for several layers of highlights here, building up on the ones below to really make things pop. For my background, I'm just basically throwing in some hints that there is long grass behind him, without really focusing on the fact that there's going to be a lot of detail in this background. Now I'm going in and making sure my painting is completely dry underneath. I'm going to go and glaze over the entire painting to really strengthen those shadows and just build up some more contrast. And now I'm going in and popping in some final highlights, some final details and texture, just to really make the areas of the painting pop that I want the eye to look at first. And we're done! Well, I hope you enjoyed this tutorial on how to paint a realistic elephant with oil paints. Like I mentioned earlier, if you are interested in gaining access to the full tutorial for this, real time, complete with all my paint mixing, and my voice walking you through every single step, and gaining access to a huge library of other tutorials, then I would love for you to check out the Wildlife Painting Academy. You can find the link to that in the description of this video. All right, thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in the next video.